Emily Fabulous 79, and welcome to another episode of Lindsay's Library. Today I'm going to be reading chapters 24 and 25 of Maniac Magee, written by Jerry Spinelli. Chapter 24. They got back to the band shell just as they finished the last of the crimpets. Grayson looked at his watch. Guess it's time to quit the job I never did today. Time for dinner, too. Grayson was joking, but Maniac was serious when he piped. Great, where to? Dumbfounded, the old man drove back out of the park to the nearest diner, where he sat with a cup of coffee while the boy wolfed down meatloaf and gravy, mashed potatoes, zucchini, salad, and coconut custard pie. Grayson had a way of jumping into a subject without warning. It was during Maniac's dessert that he abruptly said, "Them black people, they eat mashed potatoes too?" Maniac thought he was kidding, then realized he wasn't. Sure, Miss Beale used to have potatoes a lot, mashed in every other way. Miss who? Miss Beale. Do you know the Beales of 728 Sycamore Street? The old man shook his head. Well, they were my family. I had a mother and a father and a little brother and sister my age, and a dog. My own room, too. Grayson stared out the diner window as if digesting this information. How about meatloaf, huh? They eat them, too? Sure, meatloaf, too, and peas, and corn, you name it. Cake? Maniac beamed. Oh, man, you kidding. Miss Bill makes the best cakes in the world. Grayson's eyes narrowed. Toothbrushes? They use them? Maniac fought not to smile. Absolutely. We all had our toothbrushes hanging in the bathroom. I know that, said Grayson, impatient. But is theirs the same as ours? No difference that I could see. You didn't drink out of the same glass. Absolutely we did. This information seemed to shock the old man. Maniac laid down his fork. Grayson, you're just regular people like us. I was never in a house of theirs. Well, I'm telling you, it's the same. There's bathtubs and refrigerators and rugs and TVs and beds. Grayson was wagging his head. Ain't that something? Ain't that something? It was after dark when they got back to the baseball equipment room. The worm in Grayson's head had long since ceased to be a tiny tickle, was now a maddening itch. As with such itchworms, it would exit by only one route, the mouth. He said, I was thinking, maybe you want to come over to my place. This here floor is pretty hard. He tapped his foot to show how hard. The grizzled gray old park hand could never know how much Maniac was tempted, or how deeply the offer touched him. Neither could Maniac explain that the bad luck he'd always seemed to have with his parents had led him to the conclusion that he'd better stick to himself. Oh, it's not so bad here, he said. Look. He lay down on the chest protectors and closed his eyes. Ah, just like a mattress. I can feel myself dozing off already. And then, not wanting to hurt the old man's feelings, he quickly added, Hey, I told you everything about me. How about you? He pulled Grayson's coat over him. A bedtime story? Grayson snorted. Story? I don't know no stories. Sure you do, Maniac prodded. About yourself. You know about you. Everybody has a story. Not me. Grayson was edging for the door. I ain't got no story. I ain't nobody. I work at the park. You lawn baseball fields. Yep, I do that. You live at the Y. You drive the park pickup. You like butterscotch crimpets. Grayson shook his head. Not as much as you. I was just eating 'em to be friendly, so's you wouldn't have to eat 'em all by yourself. And there's another thing about you. Maniac joked. You're a liar. They both laughed. Grayson opened the door. Wait, called Maniac. What did you want to grow up to be when you were a kid? Grayson paused in the doorway. He looked out into the night. A baseball player, he said. He turned out the light and closed the door. Chapter 25. In the morning, Grayson bought Maniac an egg McMuffin and a large orange juice. He bought the same thing for himself, so they ate breakfast together in the baseball equipment room. You sent me to bed without a story last night, Maniac kidded. Grayson brushed a yellow speck of egg from his white stubble. I don't got no stories. I told you. You wanted to be a baseball player. That ain't no story. Well, did you become one? Grayson drank half his orange juice. Just the minors, he muttered. Maniac yelped. The minors? Couldn't never make it to the majors. There was afraid wariness in the old man's words, as though they had long since worn out. Grayson, the minors. Man, you must have been good. What position did you play? Grayson said pitcher. This word, unlike the others, was not worn at all, but fresh and robust. It startled Maniac. It declared, I'm not what you see. I'm not a line-laying, pickup-driving, live at the Y, bean brand park hand. I'm not rickety, whiskered worm chow. I'm a pitcher. Maniac had sensed there was something more to the old man. Now he knew what it was. Grayson, what's your first name? The old man fidgeted. Earl, but call me Grayson, like everybody. He looked at the door. He looked at the clock on the wall. Gotta go. Grayson, wait. I'm late for work. You ought to be in school. He was gone. Grayson returned at noon, bearing Zeps and sodas, and was not allowed to leave until he told Maniac one story about the minor leagues. So he told the kid about his first day in the minors with Blue Fields, West Virginia, and the Appalachian League, Class D. Can't get no lower than that, he told the kid. That's where you broke in. Don't have D-ball no more. He told about thumbing a ride to Bluefield, and when he got there, going to a gas station attendant and asking which way to the ballpark. And the gas station man told him, sure, but first I gotta ask you something. You're a new ball player, right? Just coming on board? And Grayson said, yep, that's right. And the man said, I thought so. Well then, you're just gonna want to make your first stop right over there. He pointed across the street. That there restaurant, the Blue Star. You just go right on in there and sit yourself down and tell the waitress you want the biggest steak on the menu, and anything else you want to, because it's all in the house. The Blue Star treats every new rookie to his first meal in town free. He gave a wink. They want your business. Great, thought Grayson, and he did just that. Only when he got up and left, the restaurant owner came running after him down the street, all mad at Grayson for skipping out. And when Grayson told him he was a rookie just picking up his free first meal, the owner got even madder. Seems the gas station man was a real card and liked to welcome dumb rookies with his little practical joke. And that's how it came to be that when the Bluefield Bullets took the field that day, they did so without the services of their new pitcher, who was back in the kitchen of the Blue Star restaurant, doing dishes to work off a 16-ounce steak, half a broiled chicken, and 2 pieces of rhubarb pie. After a story like that, Maniac couldn't just stay behind, so he tagged along when Grayson came back to work. He helped the old man raise a new fence around the children's petting farmyard. When the park superintendent came around and asked about the kid, Grayson said it was his nephew come to visit for a while. The superintendent who managed the budget said, we can't pay him, you know. And Grayson said, fine, no problem. And that was that. From then on, Maniac was on the job with Grayson. Every afternoon, they raised fences, mended fences, hauled stone, patched asphalt, painted trimmed trees. They ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner together, sometimes in the equipment room, sometimes at the restaurant. They spent weekends together. All the while, Grayson told baseball stories, insisting all along, I ain't got no stories. He told about the Appalachian League and the Carolina League and the Pecos Valley League and the Buckeye and the Mexican Leagues, about the Paducah Twin Oaks and the Natchez Pelicans and Jessup Georgia Browns, and the Laredo Lariats, all the minor league teams, minor league baseball, sleazy hotels, sleazy buses, sleazy stadiums, sleazy fans, sleazy water buckets, curveballs and bus fumes and dreams of the majors, clean sheets and an umpire at every base. Funny stories, happy stories, sad stories, just plain baseball stories. The happiest story being the one about Willie Mays' very last at bat in the minor leagues before he went up to the New York Giants in immortality. Well, it was old Grayson himself who had last crack at Mays in the 9th inning of a game while Indianapolis, and what did Grayson do? All he did was set the say hey kid down swinging on 3 straight curveballs. The saddest story was one about the scout who came down from Toledo Mud Hens. The Toledo Mud Hens. The Mud Hens had a roster slot, and the scout had a notion to fill it with the pitcher with the wicked curveball, name of Earl Grayson. This was Grayson's big chance, for the Mud Hens were Class AAA ball, one short step from the majors. The night before the game, Grayson spent half of it on his knees by his bed praying, and even 5 minutes before the game in the dugout, he bent down pretending to tie his shoe and closed one eye and prayed, "Please let me win this ball game," which was something, since he had never gone to a church in his life. God must have fainted, he said to Maniac. And indeed, maybe God did, or maybe he only listened to major leaguers, because Grayson took the mound and proceeded to pitch the flat-out awfulest game of his life. His curveball wasn't curving, his sinker wasn't seeking, his knuckler wasn't knuckling. The batters were teeing off as if it were the invasion of Normandy Beach. Before the 3rd inning was over, the score was 12-0, and Grayson was in the showers. He was 27 years old then, and that was the closest he would ever get to the big show. He hung on for 13 more years, a baseball junkie, winding up in some hot tamale league in Guanajuato, Mexico, until his curveball could no longer bend around so much as a chili pepper, and his fastball was slower than Senorita's answer. He was 40, out of baseball, and for all intents and purposes out of life. All those years in the game, and all he was fit to do was clean a restroom or sweep a floor or lay a chalk line, or far, far down the road tell stories to a wide-eyed homeless kid. And that ends chapter 24 and 25 of Maniac Magee, written by Jerry Spinelli. If you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, if you want, you can like me on Facebook, follow me on Pinterest, Twitter, and Instagram at ch.24, and add me on Snapchat. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye!